Welcome to Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready, we're about to live in your head rent-free. Hello, Otterites. Welcome to episode 142. I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis.
So welcome back here to the atrium at Studio R. We are super maxing and relaxing.
That's right.
Like that. I don't think we've used that one before.
Yeah, but so we're kicked back in Robert's comfortable chairs. We've got this trend going of eschewing the card table or whatever table and just sitting in comfortable chairs.
Well, you know, the mind can only articulate what the butt can endure, as some have said, so...
Well, I don't know about some. You said it. It
Yeah,
sounds
so-
good to me.
I've
So
heard it.
Oh, it's a saying, yeah.
It's a saying.
For those of us who homilize, it's something to keep in mind.
That's right.
Okay. Well, good. I guess I should listen to more homilies.
Yes, you should. That's right.
So, gentlemen,
Well, you have always a good opportunity to nap.
this is February Code of Honor.
Code of Honor, love it.
Absolutely one of our favorites.
So why don't we get right into it and just jump right here. This was not a themed one.
No.
So this is definitely just swinging wild.
It's a hoopajoob of one. Anything goes.
Anything
right.
goes.
That's right.
So, Francis, why don't you kick us off
You
with
wish
yours?
me to go first. Well, how
Sure.
about that? I'm
Yeah, just lay right into it, brother.
I'll just be gracious as the captain here and let you get us going.
Okay, well, that's fine. My quotation, I actually used this in a homily recently, so it's kind of on my mind, because I loved it so much. It's just one of those, it's Socrates. You know, written by Plato, of course, but nevertheless, it's attributed to Socrates. You don't get much smarter than Socrates. I think we can all agree. He's one of the, you know, as empires go, he's the big one. As intellects go, he's the big one. There's some truth to that. My quotation is, smart people learn from everything and everyone. Average people learn from their experiences. Stupid people already have all the answers.
You know, I think it would be interesting to hear that one in Greek. Because the Greeks would have, like, specific words for certain kind. Don't they? I mean, it's
Quite often,
like
that's
learning
correct.
and knowledge all have sort of
They're
separate.
more
Yes.
they are more diverse in their language and therefore more specific. There's a lot of connotations that they put in. They put it in many locations, so you can be more
Yes.
precise.
Yes.
Our stuff kind of polyglots everything together. One word, smart, means lots of things.
Lots of things, yes.
And you're right. That's the English translation of it, though. Those three things are meant to be juxtaposed from each other. I think we can infer that
but
that's
you know,
what,
that's a quote that winds its way through Western thought.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit. All the way to what even Eleanor Roosevelt, you know, small people talk about other people and big people talk about ideas.
yeah, it's
That
the
kind
same
of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean that quote winds through a lot of the Western world.
Left one.
Very much so, I think. You're going to find that who doesn't like to talk about stupid people? There's a presumption there, of course, that those who are talking are not. You know, everybody. You know, it's
Well, I'd say if you're not one of the stupid people, you don't like to talk about the stupid people. For a couple of reasons. One, you have better things to do, and two, they're just so damned annoying.
well, yeah. There's
Well,
some,
because they already have all the answers.
well, you're going exactly
Exactly.
right, and there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
The measure of intelligence, and I'm not sure that's what Socrates means by intelligence.
He may mean wisdom.
I think it's
Right.
exactly. It's much broader than that, but it's probably all of that plus much more. But what he's defining as stupid people, many of us have encountered. They are the ones who refuse to change.
Well, refuse to question anything.
Well, and that's
Refuse to learn.
Well,
Yeah.
refuse to learn because all of that implies change.
Right.
To question implies that you wish to change. To learn is to change. So in many respects, there's a Darwinism at the bottom of this, saying those who will not adapt are themselves stupid.
that real wisdom is the notion of admitting things you don't know.
Uh-huh.
And
That's right.
understanding that learning is a lifelong process.
And it's broader than just your own small universe. That's where that average people comes in.
yes.
Because and we all met those people, and I would like to think none of us are those, that can only talk about those does infuse right at the edge of their nose issues over.
I think you're
and over.
giving them credit if you say there's as many as a dozen.
Yeah, well, that's probably
I mean,
those would be the higher levels.
Right. Experience is an important teacher, and it does form
Well, yeah,
our basis of. Again, we're '80s people. We're '80s kids. Our experiences are this set of conditions existed, and things were good.
Well-
Therefore, we start from that
well,
Right.
that place alive.
the quotation here says, "Smart people learn from everything and everyone." That includes experience.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
because
You know-
what you said is partially true in the sense that it didn't go far enough. All learning is from experience.
Yes, it's
All of it.
experiential of some sort.
Yes, whether it's reading about something, in that case, it's an entirely intellectual experience,
Yeah.
or going out and doing something and learning from your mistakes, which is what these smart people do. But
Yeah, it's all of the
those
above.
are both
Right.
valid learning.
but the really smart,
Right.
what was how would it call them?
The smart people learn from everything and everyone.
What was the second one then?
Average people learn from their
Oh,
experiences.
average, okay.
Yeah,
So,
the average people never go beyond that.
well, there's not. But in this case, see, I would say that if you learn from your own experiences, you're above average. Because I think there are far more people who are stupid in the sense of this.
And Socrates is saying it's also valid to learn from other people's experiences.
And that is the highest form of learning, is learning from other people's
and
experiences.
it's very difficult
yes,
because
it
it's
is.
hard to internalize the lesson of someone else's experience.
Unless
Exactly.
you
Because the
possess-
conditions can be different. The circumstances of the experience can be different. Just
And our
how
brains-
you're
our
thinking
brains
about
don't
it.
work that way anyway.
I don't know. I think there's if you have a form of empathy, you can.
Well, ding, ding, ding. That's where I was
Okay,
going.
there you
You
go.
can do this if you possess that gift of empathy. I truly believe that's probably
Very,
that
very
is
wise.
a very
Yeah.
integral
Yeah.
component.
So I
to
think what
becoming more
Martin
than average.
just admitted was that since his brain doesn't work that way, he has no empathy.
Essentially.
Lord.
Empathy was yesterday. Today you're wasting my
Effing time.
time. Yes.
Okay, that's right.
Yes.
That's the okay. All right, you'll have to look up what that's from.
So, but experience again, like I said, is at the root of all learning. And as you said, the stupid people already know everything. It means they have nothing to learn.
Oh, they refuse.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, in their mind, they have nothing to learn.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, I think that I really do believe that is far more the vast majority of people who fall into that.
You would say the stupid people are the average,
yeah.
mathematically speaking. Here, yes.
Well, yeah, because there's not enough of the outliers, meaning those who do learn from mistakes and the experience of others, to move the needle beyond the stupid.
Average, as used in this here, and again, we'd love to have the Greek on it. It means mediocre.
Which again,
Yeah.
I maybe at that point, we're talking about a very special time in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Greeks of Socrates' time. So perhaps the average really were those who learned from their own experiences.
Yeah.
Today, we have degenerated far beyond that, in my opinion.
Well, and I don't want to be as harsh on the average because at least they're learning. They are learning from experiences.
They
It
do
is
not refuse.
personalized.
They value learning.
Right, because I
It
Either
is
implicitly or explicitly, they
Yeah,
value it.
that's why they say they're above average as
Yeah.
far as
Mathematics goes. Yeah.
well, not even
percentage of
above
population.
that, just as far as quality.
So you're putting
the
a
regular
whole.
person. Yeah, I mean the regular person is learning from personal experiences and hopefully getting better. The stupid think they know all the answers already, and then the truly above that then are willing to internalize the experiences of other people, possibly through empathy or
And other
Nietzschean
things.
Superman will to power. Because there's a line here from this Socrates to Nietzsche.
Sure.
Yeah, my point
I
is,
did it again. I brought in Nietzsche.
I just think that the quantity of people that we would categorize into the stupid in this case versus the average versus the truly above average, it's a pyramid, and the base is built of the stupid, as he would say.
I was going to ask you, give us some
being the
percentages.
base,
Yeah.
It is far bigger.
Yeah. I was going to say, give me a
It's a
percentage.
42-inch footing on this pyramid.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
Can't
right.
have an 18-inch footing on a pyramid.
Gotta have 42.
That's right.
Uh,
was gonna
Spaceship
say-
going to land next to this is going to tump over and land on somebody's kids.
That's right.
Give us a percentage before we move
Oh
on.
God, percentage.
Smart versus average versus stupid.
I would say that currently,
Yeah. It's commentary on our life.
current
today.
times, I would say the stupid are more than half.
Oh, yeah.
I would say we have a majority. Now, whether that majority is big, how big that is, I'm not entirely sure. But I would say that the truly smart, and I don't mean just I know, learned from my own experience, and okay, I went to school and I learned a few things. I mean, truly analyzing what others have done, see where they have gone wrong, and most importantly, making changes to do better.
Change your behavior, yeah.
All right. To me, that's the top 10%.
All right.
At best, 10%.
10%,
At best,
40%, and 50%.
probably 10, 30,
30,
and 60.
Yeah.
I mean, that feels very cynical, like I should have said it.
I know.
So,
But that's why I zeroed in on it, because I think it
but
says something.
I'm going to steal some Robert Thunder here, though, but I think encapsulated in the notion of the inherent dignity of the human person is believing people can move out of those levels.
Absolutely. So now I've always said that being stupid is worse than being ignorant
Yes.
because you can't fix stupid.
Well, that's a Martinism, yeah.
Well, we've all said that.
Yeah, it's a Ron White.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we've stolen it.
Here I've
we own it.
given you that
Oh,
credit.
yeah, that's a wrong
all
way.
these
That's-
Oh, and I don't
years.
even think he came up with that. He probably stole
Well,
it
but
from
it's one of
somebody.
his CD titles.
But it is,
Well,
yeah.
okay.
But I mean, we've all used it.
Sure.
And it's true because stupid implies that you're not willing.
That's right. It's right. It's
You already have the answer, so
Because
what's
you already
the
have
point
the
in
Which
answer.
learning?
goes back to what Socrates used to say. And the reason the stupid are stupid is by their own fault.
Right.
Because
I mean-
to go with what you're saying, everybody has the ability.
You control your own
You
destiny.
control your own destiny.
Right.
You
But I
have the
do
ability
believe
to learn.
that. I do believe
Yeah.
that everybody has the ability
Mhm.
to change. The problem with that 60% that we are categorizing as the stupid in this case,
Yeah.
or the however you want to put it, is that they refuse to.
Right.
They don't recognize their own ability to change.
Yeah,
so
they're-
whether you want to say that they're not
But
recognized,
we retain hope that they can and will.
I absolutely know that they can. How much hope I have that they will?
But you're supposed to be the hopeful one of the group. That's your thing.
yeah.
I'm the cynic.
Well,
Don't steal my cynicism.
The positivity that he has here is that it's possible.
yeah.
That's all that's. I mean,
The circumstances. So
that's
all right,
hopeful.
so let's put it
that's
this
hopeful
way.
in and of itself.
I do not believe that anyone is 100% of any of these. All right? Nobody is 100% stupid and unable and unwilling to learn from anything. Because that's just not possible.
Yeah.
Well, no, not a.
It is a sliding scale. Now, the person at the very bottom who is the least able to, yeah, there's somebody out there like
Because
that.
that
they're the
becomes,
most stubborn in many
that
ways.
becomes a whole different personality defect. Pride and arrogance.
Yes.
Of
Right, because they actually can be very intelligent, but
And they-
because of the pride and arrogance, refuse
right,
to.
exactly. It might not be a person like you say that's uneducated or ignorant.
Yeah, well,
it
yeah.
could be a very educated
This
person.
is, as we were saying, this is not about intelligence level. Not
Right.
really.
Right, that's why stupid is a very, in our perspective,
English does us no favors.
it does
Yes.
not. But it's a sliding scale, so that once you get to the 30% or so that are average, you're talking about people that are the movers and shakers. They're the people that are going out and inventing things and making it work and fixing what's broken. The 10% are the ones who improve even upon that and take it to the next level.
Providing that inspiration.
Maybe those are the Elon Musk as much as he gets on my nerves, just because I think he's overrated. I think he's overrated in the sense that, electric cars, he shot one into space. Big frickin' deal.
Well, pushy people to me, I've never. I think their
Well,
arrogance is.
He may be a great guy. He may even be all the things people say, but he is so... There's such a cult of personality around him that I'm distrustful.
And that's
Well,
not
yeah.
necessarily his fault.
And I recognize it's not necessarily his
I don't
fault.
think. I mean,
He may
my
not do anything to disabuse it.
Yeah, my perception is he's not encouraging that. But yes, people. Ooh,
It's like,
but
you know,
he seems like someone who is genuinely innovative
yes.
and attempting to change things.
And the personality piece is just an ancillary function and not a deliberate campaign of his
It's a
part.
product of our time.
Like
too.
Steve Jobs, because he cultivated that. Big
Yes.
time. He
Now,
was-
actually, I would count Steve Jobs as one of those, as a great example of all three of these things. Because he
Oh.
absolutely could not learn in certain ways. Because he
Yeah.
was an arrogant ass and treated people like shit.
That's right. That's what a lot of
And
his
he
legacy.
could not learn from that. He could not learn, because he had many failures.
Yeah.
And most of them were personal failures. Why did he get kicked out of Apple? Because he was an ass.
Yeah.
Now, why did he get invited back to Apple? Because he was an innovative genius.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's all of the above in many
Right.
respects.
And
yet
that
in his
becomes
own-
a set of blinders for those innovative
Which was
people.
ultimately his-
They
his-
think they don't need anybody else.
Which became
Right.
his death, because he thought that his genius,
Yes, that he
his specialness, and his, it's very Gnostic, by the way, special knowledge of the way to do things would save him, and
it didn't.
And it down the tube he went,
Yep.
where he should have lived if he'd taken traditional treatments much longer.
Yep.
So in many respects, his own arrogance literally undid him.
Yes. The people who are the 60% that's stupid, they're arrogant in one way or another.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's pride in their own intellect or pride that I don't need anybody else.
And that's why pride's one of the 7 deadly sins.
It's the biggest.
It's the biggest.
right at the center of
That's
everything.
right. That's right.
It is.
Ultimately, and that's Jobs is a very good example of pride.
Matter of fact,
I don't know about Musk yet. Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I'm sorry, Robert.
I was going to say,
Go ahead.
so, you know, perhaps instead of using intellect as the scale here, pride is the scale to use.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah.
So
Francis-
the least prideful
yeah,
are the ones who can learn from not only their own mistakes, but everybody else's.
yes.
Well, there's humility then.
Yes.
Yes.
Humility
Yes.
is a key ingredient for, smartness, as Socrates defined it.
Right.
Yeah. So, Francis, you've done a tremendous job there. I'm feeling inadequate in your shadow
Oh.
because you took classical Greek
Yeah.
and then we've mutated and transformed it into the basis of Christian theology to a degree here.
Well, it's
Judeo-Christian ethics.
Well,
Well, a lot of that through Aquinas goes back to
Well,
Socrates
that's correct.
and Plato.
That's-
and
yeah,
Aristotle.
from Aristotle in particular.
Socrates to Aristotle to Aquinas.
Learning is learning is learning. Truth is truth is truth. We can take those things that are universal about the human condition and beyond, and reshuffle them. But in many
And
respects,
there's
we're
our
working with the same.
repudiation of Nietzsche right there. We've been searching for a repudiation of Nietzsche for a while.
Right, you know, when you
And here it
say
is.
truth is truth is truth, but with that, the codicil to that is until we understand it even better.
Well, that's right, because we will further define it.
That's right, because we understand now that
Yeah.
the sun does not revolve around the earth.
Right.
But that
That
takes
the earth is not
away.
a flat disc.
But those
Yeah.
were facts, not truths.
No, I think at one time those were considered
They were
truths.
considered such. They were
Yes.
considered such. That's correct.
But I mean, they weren't really facts either.
Well, right. We have relegated them from the arena of truth into the arena of fact.
But it
Because we can.
it disabuses the notion of perspectivism from Nietzsche.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, right, to a degree you're right. How we perceive an event has a truth to it, but at its core there is a truth of X. We can learn. That's a truth that isn't a part of a perspective. We can learn, and we can be better. And if we refuse to be better, pride is at its root.
Well, I think, honestly, I think that's the root of my problems with Nietzsche. Is his pride. His whole master-slave mentality is based largely in his rejection of religion. Because he was such the prideful man that he didn't understand how you could debase yourself by bowing down to a god.
He threw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yes.
Yeah, which was the whole point.
He tried to throw out Christianity but in doing so, also threw out Aristotelian thought and Socrates' thought and all of this other along with it, and tried to start from scratch.
Well, you tried to deny the basic necessity for the human person to reach for something greater than themselves.
Well, see, but that's just it. To him, reaching for something greater could not involve bowing down or kneeling before anything else.
Yeah, it's the ultimate
So
idolatry.
he started from scratch.
Yeah,
and
it
came
says-
to the will to power.
Yeah, which
was
means
like,
that nothing is greater
dude,
than me.
Yeah, Socrates already did this for you.
Yeah.
What are you scribbling for?
Well, yeah.
Love the way you just
By
bring
throwing
that around.
out what he saw as the weakness,
Yeah.
he threw out what is the basis for all of humanity. And by humanity, I don't mean just people. I mean what makes us human and tolerable to one another. Because let's face it, nobody liked him. There was a time when professors at his university encouraged students to not take his classes. And he actually had years where nobody signed up for his classes. How he stayed at those universities is beyond me.
Yeah.
But nobody would take his classes because he was so hated, because he was such a jerk.
Which goes back to that Steve Jobs business. Being a jerk doesn't, no matter how much power or authority or mystique you have,
Or
being
how
a jerk-
smart you think
or
you
smart
are.
you think you
How many
are.
good ideas you had.
Jerkiness,
Or as I said earlier, assholery.
assholery. I like that word better.
It's
Yeah.
self-limiting. We need
That's it,
others.
that's it.
We
It is-
need others.
That's right. Assholery gets you really nowhere.
Right. I mean, if even Martin can say, we need others, that's got to be a...
That's
You
gotta be
take
gospel.
real truth and
A real gospel truth.
Stuff it, Freddie.
See, now you're stealing my thunder there.
Well,
that's my thing.
Yeah, it's a great transition point because
Francis-
Martin, you got to write.
Francis, you did great.
That was
really
that was
good.
great. Yeah, that was phenomenal
fantastic.
quote.
Well, we never know where these are going to take us, so I'm
And
glad that it
Listeners,
worked well.
we planned zero of that.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
literally told us what he was going to say. We hit the record button on the microphone and then went with it.
Yeah,
Which
we
is-
could really go even
Which
longer
is
if we
the
wanted
great
to.
strength of us at Snakes and Otters. I mean, that's what we do, is we
Oh,
philosophize.
goodness.
We
All
make clear that which is murky and go deep with things that must be done. Speaking of which, Martin, what's yours?
So my turn. Okay. Again, really, really good, Francis. So I am back to cynicism. H.L. Mencken. The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, all of them imaginary.
Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Right. I mean, this is one of those that, again, P.J. O'Rourke is very much in the Mencken tradition of, the question isn't, why doesn't our government get anything done? The question is, when are they done? When can
Right.
we stop? When are we at the more perfect union stage? As long as you enforce the laws, most of the rest will get along okay. We'll be fine.
Well, part of the problem, though, is that, and this is a legitimate question, are the laws we have the right ones?
Yes.
And
Right.
that's often the crux of our issues. Whether we're chasing those illegitimate fake hobgoblins or not. That's part of it. Because that's even part of your recognition of a lot of these issues is, do we have the right laws?
Right. And again, he's on practical politics, meaning that retail, getting in front of people and going, well, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to fix that and vote for me. Again, how much of our political spectrum is made up stuff? Would these things really be issues
yeah.
if they weren't made up?
The only issue is because
weren't-
somebody decided they should be.
Yeah.
Well-
if it bleeds, it leads. Robert, you've said this many times. I mean, that plays that role as well of whatever the press decides to gin up as an issue, becomes, okay, well, we must be led to safety. And there you go.
Well, and then we
you're-
have the unintended consequences. Or sometimes the intended
Yeah,
consequences.
the
That's
intended
right.
consequences of, well, all right, let's surrender a little bit of our autonomy so that this one man with a vision gets a little more power. And, that's That's the
he bristles
danger.
well.
That's,
He does.
He really
that's
does.
It's
the
very
fear,
good.
The fear is, and again, this what the press focuses on, and I don't mean to lessen the import of COVID. Certainly, it's important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it the flu? The original variants were not. They were more dangerous.
Absolutely.
But the focus shifted, and this is why I feel like I'm legit in criticizing presidential administrations. I felt like both moved the goalposts because
Our governor did as well.
yes, the governor, and
Especially the one in Michigan.
lots and lots of politicians moved the goalposts because originally it was this
Flatten
is
the curve.
dangerous. Yes, it's going
Flatten the
to
curve.
overwhelm hospitals. And then it morphed into this daily tabulation of cases. Well, so what? 80% of those cases were somebody had the sniffles over the weekend. Especially now, we understand, I think this is a legitimate statement, Omicron spreads very rapidly, but it's less severe
It is far less severe,
than
yes.
the other
But
variants.
it is still requiring acute care, not to the
extent the early ones
but
were.
enough care. Though we are once again at the point where we are overwhelming the system, but it does appear to be less deadly.
And people are hospitalized, but the ICU level is not the same.
Oh, yeah,
Originally, the
it's-
ICU level that's what was
Right, we don't have
overwhelming.
enough ventilators and so
Right.
on.
Now, yes, there are still hospitalizations, but people are moving out of those
Much faster.
much faster, and it's
Yes.
not as acute. So a daily tabulation of cases, and this whole, well, this is more cases than we've ever had. That's simply fear-mongering. Because,
It's factual, yet fear-mongering.
yes, the vast majority of those cases are, again, somebody had a sore throat over the weekend.
Well, again, another
Well,
example
we need to
of
focus on, let's focus on hospitalizations and what that's really meaning. And let's pull down the fear and start dealing with this in a way that's much more rational.
Which begs the question: what purpose does the fear serve?
control. It's an excuse for control.
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of where we're going with this. Is
Not just COVID.
right. Anything.
All of these hobgoblins.
That's
Yes.
kind of where
Real or
I
imagined.
bring this back to is
It-
ultimately
it-
fear only
yes.
benefits somebody.
Yes, well, one, follow the money,
I was just going to say that.
and two,
Yeah.
whoever can appear to be riding the crest of the fear effectively becomes that next,
Superman.
that
Napoleon?
next
Savior.
next man,
Savior.
that next savior.
Yeah.
Again, if there were a state governor riding that fear,
They'll ride it to the White House.
exactly,
That's
Well,
the whole.
and-
it becomes a building block for your ambitions.
And, often
if it's done right,
just being seen doing something is all that's important.
And
well,
that's one of
perception
those-
is reality.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that I always bristle about. Well, somebody's got to do something, but it's got to be the right thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Slow down.
We hear that a lot
Slow
in
down.
election years. I remember
Yes,
there was
somebody's got to do something.
that goes back to. I mean, I remember first hearing that in '92. Well, somebody's got to do something. It was everywhere that
Yes.
year. And, this is. Why is this so awful?
Yeah,
And
somebody's
it's-
got to do something about health care.
Somebody's gotta do-
But what? We got to think this through.
Yeah, just because somebody,
Again, that whole thought without action, action without thought.
or all ideas are equal. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, but you know what? Nobody truly believes that. Nobody even really practices that. It's only
Except in meetings.
except in meetings, yes. Except in meetings.
There are no bad ideas. Throw them out. Oh, no, that's a bad idea. We're throwing that
yeah,
out.
just throw that one right out. As a matter of fact, you don't get to have any more ideas.
But
You have just disqualified
You
yourself.
say that, but there is truth to that. If
Yes.
somebody really is, the group will marginalize somebody very quickly, and they usually know.
Well, but you know what? That is in a microcosm what plays out at the macro level, at the national level. And that, it's not true there are no good ideas. They're only good ideas when they come from my side of the aisle.
Yeah.
That's great. And ironically, sometimes those ideas switch sides of the aisle.
Well, absolutely they do.
Yeah.
Our current president said any president who has 200,000 people die on his watch should resign immediately. Well, the current president had 600,000 people die in his watch,
And he isn't resigning.
and he hasn't resigned.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful.
So, and I'm not advocating for him or the other guy at all. I'm just pointing out how the goalposts move and how the standards change.
Well, Joe Straczynski said it very well in Babylon 5. You don't hand somebody a gun if you're not sure where they're going to point it.
Right.
It's, of course,
or as
this
I
is...
like to put it, don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to.
Well, absolutely. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that every time we've got one of these hobgoblins come up, somebody's asking the question, what do? They already know what they want to do. They're just ginning up the excuse to be able to do it.
Right.
They have to connect some dots for people.
Yeah, and it always leads to an accumulation of power somewhere.
That's very Nietzschean of you, sir. All about everything is about the way to power.
Unfortunately, it's also very Stalinist, but he was the one that wanted to benefit from that accumulation of power.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
and he actually did it very
all
effectively.
fascist totalitarian regimes are Nietzschean because it involves a master-slave relationship. We may not want to call it that.
And it involves a hobgoblin,
Yes.
that has to be made to seem that only government can tame it.
Right.
Or
Only I can
a
protect you
change
from
in
it.
ideology in their case.
Yeah.
If you're talking about that, is
Only-
the Tsar is so bad, only Bolshevism can save us.
Yeah.
And Stalin didn't create that narrative, but he rode that narrative and solidified that narrative.
Well, he transformed it from Bolshevism can save us to
Stalin.
I can save us.
To Stalinism.
Yeah.
Stalin,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is an insidious way of going about things, but it is unfortunately the current default. Honestly, I would argue that it has probably always been the political default.
Yeah, certainly Mencken wasn't. He had no idea about today.
Right.
I mean, this
was written when?
This quote is most likely, I would say, from the 50s.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, think about that. You're talking about the Red Scare.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make the argument that is a perfect blueprint for what's going on today. The way we go
Really?
about things.
Okay.
And you could make the argument in the 30s that what Hitler did in Nazi Germany was
Very
the exact
much.
same thing.
It is. And again, it's the notion of practical politics being the accumulation of power politics.
Yeah, the only thing. And in order to do that, you have to take the power from someone else.
Well, yeah, because
Us.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
ultimately.
you
masses.
do take it from your political opponents too.
Sure.
But that's more shifting what's there. But it's always big government and big business are always the same in this sense. They always want to get bigger.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they work so well together. Because big business helps big government get bigger, and big government helps big business get bigger.
There's a gluttonous symbiotic relationship.
There really is. That's why, the small businesses, and individuals traditionally have always been the driving force behind the economy. Ford and GM and Tesla and all of those things, they're flashy, but...
They're rarely disruptive.
Exactly.
It's usually
They
the-
once were disruptive. Tesla is still disruptive. They're
Yes.
still at that, but yet they've also become one of the biggest. I'm not sure based on what, to be perfectly honest.
Sales
because they don't sell enough cars to be worth as much money as the company is.
That's correct. Although they seem to be selling more and more.
Yeah, I mean, people are betting on the future
Yes.
of them being the dominant player in that market.
I don't think they will be though.
And that market becoming bigger.
I think the market will definitely become bigger because I think it's a movement. It's a place we have to go, whether it's because realistically, at some point, yeah, we probably should convert from burning fossil fuels in our cars to get around because it's nasty.
Well,
And
it's
I
also
like to
finite. I mean, come on,
Well, it's finite, but from our perspective, currently, it's infinite
Well, that's correct. That's right.
because we have enough supplies to where we don't have to worry about it.
But it is the paradigm that works.
But it is the paradigm that works. But at some point,
Because the idea, surprise, surprise, people, the idea of an electric car isn't new.
no, it's not.
No, it's been tried, but it was never able to be anything but inefficient.
Well,
before.
it's still not efficient.
You're correct. It's not there yet. It's
Because-
better, but it's not there yet.
Unless I can treat it like my propane tank, and when I run out of run out of a charge, instead of waiting 8 hours for it to charge when I'm on a cross country trip,
Yep.
I just swap it out like I do my propane tank for my grill.
Yeah.
Or the charge lasts so long that you don't worry about it until except once a month. It's not practical.
That's where
For
that's,
other than a commuter vehicle.
Other than a commuter vehicle, but you could accomplish the same thing with a hybrid.
Yeah.
At a much cheaper rate. Because my former pastor, who is the great bourbon lover that inspires us all with his collection,
indeed.
He bought one 2013, 2014, not long after I got my car.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to just revel and gloat over getting an average of about 90 miles per gallon. On a bad month, you get like 60 to 70. And basically fill up once a month.
And that's tremendous.
And that is absolutely tremendous.
I love that.
I do too.
And again, it really does work in that instance.
Right. It's got a particular use case.
Yeah. It works for his driving habits.
Yes. In my current driving habits, I would love to have one because I almost never get on the expressway anymore.
Yeah.
Because I work from home.
It has to pencil out properly
Exactly.
for somebody.
So that particular solution that is being pushed has a particular use case, but it's not universal.
Right.
And so, who gains power? Who benefits from that? Well, the greenies benefit because their ideology wins, and of course they get to dictate certain things to the rest of us. Again, it really does fit your paradigm. Now, if we were to naturally move to that would be one thing. But it's the top-down forcing of things on people.
And again, I'm not opposed to electric cars. A super incredible engineering feat to have them be as efficient as they are. But this idea that we must transition to this all-electric car fleet
in the next 10 years, it's not going to happen. We'd overwhelm the grid. You can't do it. The grid barely hanging on as it is.
And all you're doing is substituting one type of energy production for another. You're not really getting anywhere.
No, because you're going to have to build more power plants, and unless you build nuclear, you're going to be burning something that is going to put pollution in the air.
You're just moving the gasoline out of the car engine into the gas turbine that's generating electricity.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Now,
you're creating essentially the same pollution.
Well, not necessarily. Unless you build coal and oil plants, your pollution is. If you build those, your pollution would get worse. If you go to natural gas plants, your pollution would be less.
That would be better.
Your nuclear plants would be better, but you're gonna have to build so many of those that
gasoline's
net.
I
don't think there's too many power plants to build that burn gasoline.
Yeah, basically all of California is powered.
Really?
Yeah, on essentially the gas turbine.
Really? Is it gas or is it ethanol?
It was not ethanol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it were ethanol, that'd be another thing. Can you imagine all that corn?
There'd be corn planted all the way up to the atrium windows.
There would be, yes.
To have enough ethanol to do. So, yes, diversity of your energy production is important. And this notion that everybody could be driving an electric car in the future is nonsense. It's not going to happen.
Not yet.
And it, like you said,
a much longer game.
Who does this benefit? Well, it benefits people who can afford, $60,000 and $70,000 for a car that has, whatever features and
250-mile range, and then you got to wait 8 hours before you go anywhere else.
Yeah, or people who basically can fly everywhere they want to go.
Right. Teslas are status cars right now.
They are.
Mm-hmm. There's some hope when you see Ford making a totally electric Mustang, the Mach-E, which is a sharp-looking car, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen it. That is a gorgeous-looking car. And from what I understand, the acceleration on that thing is monster.
Yes.
But you still, you can only fit so many people in it, and you got to recharge it overnight. And but again, you're not taking your Mustang cross-country either. So...
And therein lies the rabbit hole, gentlemen. We have slid down that.
Well, but it's a good example of how these things get pushed. That's the crisis we're trying to solve. And do I want a cleaner environment? Absolutely.
Yes.
But is that the way I want to go about it?
Yeah. I love fuel efficient cars.
Oh yeah.
I pay attention to my fuel efficiency.
The nerd in me loves to see my miles
Yes,
per gallon
I mean,
really high.
That's one of my gripes about the traffic.
Kills
Yes.
my gas mileage.
Yes, exactly. I mean, not only is it inconvenient, but look, I could get, if you dopes would get out of the way, I could be getting 30, 32 miles to the gallon. Instead, I'm getting 27, 28 because you won't get out of the way.
Right. And, that speaks to how bad your commute is, because I get, 26, 27 on my surface driving around town here.
Yeah.
With this, as far as I go, which is not very far anymore.
But in your car, if you had a highway commute, 32, 33, 34 would definitely be in the range.
Oh, yeah.
of what you
32
could
would
get.
be the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, you could be getting excellent mileage. And
When I drove to and from Michigan a couple of times in my car, I hit 40 for the average for the trip
right, because you could hold a constant speed.
on relatively flat land.
Yeah.
Once I got into Ohio,
It's
because from here to Cincinnati, oh my God, the ups and downs,
Yes.
it kills you.
Plenty of that.
but if
yeah.
the commute around here, the start stop, you speed up, you get up to a good consistent speed, and then I got to drop back 10 miles an hour because somebody changed lanes.
Right, and all that acceleration and deceleration just kills your mileage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, always ask, follow the money,
Yeah.
who benefits financially and who benefits with the power.
Because power is its own economy.
Power is its own economy. Some people would much rather have power than money.
Yeah.
Money is simply a form of power in many respects.
It
Yeah.
can be, it depends on how you use it, but power guarantees money. Money doesn't always guarantee power.
No, that's correct. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Time for a bourbon break.
Time for a bourbon break.
yes, bourbon
We
break.
have
Well, I
got
figure out
so-
what the hell I'm going to use.
So I'm
Oh, my
going to
goodness,
let
just-
Francis go first because we kind of frozen him out while Robert and I argued a bit.
That's all right.
No, we discussed. I don't think we argued anything.
No.
You're
Yeah,
correct.
we do
sir.
that.
You're correct.
We
It
have
was a
those
spirited
moments.
discussion.
Yes, that was a very good one.
With a lot of comedy to it.
Well, yeah.
A lot of agreement there. A lot of
when we're
building
all
on each
able
other's points.
to have a three-way conversation, it's great, but it's difficult.
Well, yeah,
It's
but
very
you know
hard
what?
to do.
It's the best kind of three. It's the only kind of three-way we're ever going to participate in. So.
He had to go there, didn't he?
So Francis, what do you have? Now?
1792, that great year. I'm sticking with it. It's a darn smooth. Doing it neat. You guys know I've been doing neat most of the time these days. It flows. It sings. It warms the belly and the esophagus and the
spirit.
and the spirit. The spirits warm the spirit, which should be an always thing here.
Yes.
So I'm very very happy with that.
I just polished off my glass of 1792. I'm going to need a refill pretty soon, probably.
Yeah, I will too after we finish this episode because I'm finishing off my Trader Joe's.
Really
Really
has quite the nice stash these days. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Though I am running low on some things. I'm going to have to restock soon.
Yeah. Well, but it's inevitable, I suppose, for all of us.
But the Trader Joe's again. It's the more I have it, the more I'm coming to appreciate it. It is definitely not a straight up. It's rot gut straight up. It really is.
Really. So this is the kind that you walk into the old West bar and say, "Give me a thing of your rot gut."
This is what they would hand
That's
you.
what they would hand you.
This is what they would hand you. If you're looking to punish yourself with alcohol, straight up Trader Joe's.
This is the cheap stuff.
But
Not that it's cheap, but it's just.
I think it was inexpensive. I don't remember what Mrs. Roberts said. But anyways, but if you want a good sipping bourbon that just add that ice and that splash of water to bring out the flavor.
Improves it tremendously.
Oh, it does. I really can't speak enough about that. What it can do. That doesn't do it for necessarily all bourbons, but it really. If you find a bourbon that really doesn't sit well with you, that's got to be your next step. It really does.
Just alter it. Make it sing. Make it dance. Do some puppet show stuff. Come on.
That's right.
Excellent. All right, so Robert, let's roll, man. Let's wind this up with yours. I'm looking forward to this.
So, what I have found is quote from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
Goethe.
Oh,
How about that? We've
Goethe.
not had Goethe appear here before. This is
Gonna
good.
be good.
So,
this is good.
this one I think touches most directly on Martin's quote. Really piggybacks on it quite a bit, but the mechanism for how it works, I think, is tied to Francis's quote.
Oh, good. Okay.
Very good.
So
Very
this
good.
is how we're going to tie it together. So, divide and rule, the politician cries. Unite and lead is the watchword of the wise. Now,
I'm a uniter, not a divider.
that's right. That's right.
Oh, how about that?
So the divide and rule. I mean, that's essentially what Martin's quote is talking about.
Yeah.
You know, you're pitting one against the other so that you can take power from each other. Because if you take two groups and make them fight, they're both weakened afterwards, and therefore you can step in and seize control. I mean,
Like Spectre.
Like Spectre, yes.
Oh, very good, sir. Very good. That's right.
so-
I thought I saw a specter at your shoulder. That's right.
So that is kind of a quick one sentence summary of how that
So
works.
this predates identity politics
Yeah,
by 100 years and foresaw it and understood it was crap.
absolutely, because it's not Scottish, therefore it's
Skirk
crap.
is a smart guy, man.
But the unite and lead being the watchword of the wise, I think that plays very much into Francis's quote about the smart learn from others.
Mm-hmm.
That really is the wise, because if you think about how uniting and leading works, that is taking a disparate group of people, opinions, and ideas,
Yeah.
and getting them on the same page, getting them to learn from others.
that's right.
Because they're not going to learn from themselves or learn at all unless you start working with one another. That's when you truly up
Right,
the game,
right.
as we talked about. And I think this is really Francis's quote is the core of how you defeat the problem in Martin's quote.
Ooh.
Very good.
Nice
Robert.
one, Centurion. Liked it.
Because learning from the mistakes of others to get better. Because again, you can learn from the mistakes of others to do evil.
Sure.
So, I'm putting that out right now. When we talk about learning from the mistakes of others, it's to get better, not just for you, but for others. Because again, as Martin so astonishingly says, we need each other. We need people. We may not like them, but we still need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and that's very often true. We don't. People wear me out,
Well,
but I recognize I need them.
introverts. That's a thing.
Yes.
It's that's just a thing. It's not a big
But
deal.
society is a quilt, and we've all got to hold up our corner.
Oh wow! Look at that, Martin.
Did you steal that, or did you make
No.
that? You pulled
I'm
that.
hoping that one's an original.
You pulled
Well,
that
if-
one right out your ass. How about that?
Well, I'm going to give that one to you.
We're gonna
right?
give that
Yeah,
to you,
absolutely.
and
And the more people who let go of the quilt, they often climb into the middle and have to be held up, which makes it harder on the people who are still holding the edge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This whole your quote, Martin, was all about how awful that mode of thinking is about dividing people, tearing them
Dividing
apart.
people to gain power.
Which I don't know that. Well, I think that's always going to be. If you're dividing people, pitting them against one another, or just separating them so they no longer have a common purpose, always the goal is going to be to gain power of some kind, whether it's authority, fame, or money.
And it's always short-sighted
Always.
because it's always about that power.
Yes.
Whereas leadership is always about someday they're not going to need me.
Yes.
It's create a sustainable situation where you yourself benefit and are not necessary. That's the Washington type, George
Right.
Washington type thing.
Right. Someday I'm going to walk off the stage, and my goal is you all aren't going to notice because you're ready to take over.
You're fine. We have a success.
That's
So-
real leadership.
Exactly.
Right.
So just to show that we can apply this stuff anywhere, and if I had my Mjolnir, I would.
You would hammer it home?
I would pound this sucker because I'm gonna reach back, not reach around, but I'm gonna reach back to our episode on the Normans.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when William the Conqueror comes and he defeats the army of Godwinson,
Yeah.
basically when Godwinson dies, the battle's done.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, oh, he's dead, we're all done immediately. But essentially, when your leader falls, it's done.
What you were fighting for,
It no longer matters.
No longer exists.
And that's kind of the same thing here, in that when you have something that's based on a cult of personality, or you have something that is driven from where the leader drives from the front. Now, there's leading from the front, but there's also something about keeping your generals in the rear to be able to see everything. And while, yes, a general or a leader needs to be able to share the risks of those that he's or she is leading, there's something to be said for not being an integral part of the action. And
Because you're trusting those
Yes.
below you to get the job done.
right. Having to be an integral part of the action is being one of the stupid. Because you're not.
Right.
You already know everything. Therefore, you have to do it yourself. That's
Well,
leading from the front.
You're not sharing.
You're not sharing. You're keeping all the power.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it that way. Uniting and, how did he put it? And uniting and leading is the watchword of the wise. And that is that 10% that we talked about, that I designated, since Francis made me put a number on it. Or did you make me put a number
No,
on it?
I made you
Yeah,
put a
you
number
did.
on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's right.
So,
We keep you alive to serve this ship.
That's right.
So row well
And
and
live.
live.
That's right. Ben-Hur. That's right.
You need everybody to be rowing in the same direction to make something a success. And real leadership then is unifying whatever that is to be a success in some manner.
but, well, I wouldn't necessarily call it leadership, but because I would flesh it out this way. It's making them want to do it.
Yeah,
Not forcing them to do it.
exactly.
Because your quote, Martin, whoever the hell you are, it is more about the power aspect, and that's forcing those guys rowing to do it in unison.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're that 10% that who is trying to unite and lead, because
You're inspiring.
you're
people
inspiring
to
them.
do it.
Hey, we got someplace to go, and we can only get there if you guys do it together.
That's right.
And I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to help you do that. That's far different than...
I'm going to be the inspiration by doing it the way I'd like to see it done.
And, even that has to be temporary. Because, again, if you're too much the inspiration, it dies when you do.
That's right.
Yeah,
There's no
you're
sustainability.
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
You've got to spread knowledge. You've got to be the leader who's willing to hand things out.
Yes. You cannot create anything lasting that requires you.
Well, that's
Because
spreading your seed as far and as wide as possible in many respects.
in many respects,
This-
yes.
Although this is not sperm, this is the same principle in many ways. Your intellectual seeds, your ability seeds, your
Yeah.
visionary seeds, all those
Yeah,
things need
yeah.
to be spread far and wide to take root, so when you diminish, they will flourish.
Right, and then this
It's very
is...
biological.
It's also very John the Baptist.
Yes, it is. It's a little bit Darwinian, too.
Yeah.
But it's why Washington is one of these more key figures in history than almost anybody else.
Yeah.
Is he somehow saw that
Yeah, and did it.
and did it and walked off the stage confidently that sure, Adams and Hamilton and these other guys, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
They don't need me.
Okay. In fact, they mustn't need me.
Yes.
They
Yes.
must-
Yes,
They
that's
mustn't
the-
need me.
That's the key. Yeah.
That's probably the most important thing a leader can learn, is that they mustn't need me. They can need me for now,
Yeah.
and for this or that, but they mustn't truly need me.
Well, that's Cincinnatus. That's where
Yes.
that comes from.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
the same thing.
But it's incredible. Those guys were also inspired by what they learned from others.
Right.
Essentially, the Roman Empire, how the Roman Republic fell apart.
Yeah.
They learned those lessons, and it's ingrained into a lot of their thinking of whatever you call it. I mean, Hamilton got accused of being a monarchist and all this other, but he was just kicking ideas out. But they understood at some point the idea is to leave the stage. Lead well, but have others ready to take
And
up.
make sure the stage doesn't go with you.
Well, and
Yeah, the
you
stage
know,
must remain.
and that's
The
I
players
think,
may change.
I
Must
think
change.
that's one of the beauties of our system, is that what makes the Constitution, I think, probably the most important governing document ever written, is that built into it is the mechanism to make itself better.
Yeah.
Because
Self-perpetuate.
there's a mechanism to amend the Constitution to improve it when necessary. Now, not every amendment has been an improvement, but for the most part, yes, we have moved
That
forward.
income tax one especially is a little dodgy.
I was thinking prohibition.
I was
but,
going prohibition. That's right. Yeah, but
yes.
we fixed that.
But the income tax one, you could certainly make an argument for that. But on the other hand, it also enabled things that we do take for granted nowadays. It enabled the government to do things that probably could not have done, which Martin may argue, well, maybe they shouldn't have.
Maybe they shouldn't have.
But would we have put a man on the moon? Would we have been able to fight World War II? Much less World War I.
It does put you in a position of being able to rapidly have the funding to ramp up to a huge thing.
Yes.
Whatever that
but
might
the
be.
problem is, they ramp up, but they almost never ramp
They
down.
never ramp back down.
Yeah. So, but anyways, the point is, though, that the Constitution is a great example of that. They must not need me because because this generation, the revolutionary generation, is trying to leave it so that the next generation doesn't have to be as lucky or as good as we were.
Yeah. And they don't have to have another revolution.
And they don't have to have another
They
revolution.
don't have to figure all
now,
this
granted,
out.
we still had to have another one 80 years later
Yeah,
because you can make the argument Civil War was another revolution.
it is.
Well, it's a little bit
You can make the argument as the third one because technically the second revolution was the War of 1812. Yeah, we haven't done one on War of 1812. Talk a little bit about Andy Jackson, but one of these days I think we need to do an 1812.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
there's a lot
wrap this
there.
up because this has been tremendous. You guys did an awesome job. Awesome job.
Well, thank you.
That
Thank
was
you.
a terrific code of honor. Again, completely unscripted, unprepared, unready. We just ran with it.
We just allowed our fecundity to flow. And
So-
that's a good thing.
Yes. So, you want to ask him or should I?
Let me ask. I just enjoy this so much, and as captain, I feel like it's a responsibility. Francis, buddy, what is next time?
People you should know, heroes. It's actually your show next time. Steve McQueen.
Oh,
The great guy. Yeah, this is
The
this
king
is a
of
hard
cool.
one. Yeah, you're going to captain it. You're going to talk about why this guy was as awesome as he was, as badass as he was, because he was, and all the great things of that era that he was so responsible for in film. Enjoy.
Hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes published every Friday at noon Eastern.
Spread the word. We're on all the major podcast platforms. And leave us a comment or review because that helps others find us.
We're on Instagram, Twitter, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com.
I'm Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis. Join us next week, same snake time, same otter channel.